Hey everyone, I'm Jet. I'm 18 years old, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about my testimony on how I met Christ and how He saved me. So, just for some background information, I never grew up Christian my entire life. I didn't grow up in a Christian household or even go to a Christian school, and I never knew much about church or God in my entire life. So, my testimony starts at around late 2023, early 2024, when I was just a regular 16-year-old teenager. And around this time, I was a big overthinker. And for me, that looked like always being in my head thinking things like, oh, what if I don't have a good time at this? Or what if I overthink this? Or overthink being funny and then I can't actually be funny or something like that. And around this time, I started to develop these OCD-like tendencies. And that would look like I would wash my hands 3 times instead of 1 because that would grant me a good life or something. So obviously I didn't believe in a God at this time, but I guess I believed in silly superstitious things. But anyways, around this time I started to develop these intrusive thoughts. And as an overthinker, I was like, oh, I gotta get rid of these thoughts, but then more would come and they'd just worsen. And these intrusive thoughts were pretty gruesome. So I felt like I could never move with these thoughts, or they would just stick with me and they would ruin my life or something. So for example, if I was going through a door or something and I had an intrusive thought, I'd have to physically go back, clear the thought, and then I could go through. And obviously that's really silly, unhealthy, but yeah, I just thought it was gonna ruin my life, and that just kind of got worse and worse throughout time. And instead of a few times, a few intrusive thoughts, it became so many, and just a few times going back and forth, it just became so abundant, just going back and forth so many times throughout the day. And yeah, so moving on throughout 2024, as I struggled with this going back and forth, I was like, you know what, I'm done. This is causing too much anxiety, stress, whatever. And for me, being done looked like literally just saying done and then going, living my life, and then ignoring these thoughts, ignoring these attempts to go back, clear the thought, and then go. But always I would just fall right back into these thoughts. So the being done was redundant. But eventually, these routines would form around being done, and that for me that would look like struggling for a while, thinking some things I remember 10 out of 10 because that's what I thought, because that would grant me a good life or something. Anyways, and then yeah, after this whole routine, I'd say done, and then just go and try to ignore any intrusive thoughts. Anyways, I developed this delusion in my head that the last time I obeyed these thoughts had to be before or during this whole routine of being done. So that meant if after this whole routine I fell into this OCD, instead of just moving on, I'd have to do an entire bigger and better routine again. And then if I fell into the OCD again, I'd have to do another one, etc. So that just fostered so much anxiety and stress and became way more time consuming and unhealthy. So you might be wondering, where is God in all of this? And to be honest, I can't perfectly remember how God came into my life. It might have been through YouTube or TikTok, seeing an AI video of Jesus talking, and maybe I straight up prayed to that or watched it a bunch due to the OCD. And I believed in this, that these intrusive thoughts could ruin my life, so maybe I had the slightest inclination that God could be real. But I remember implementing these whole prayers to being done, and these whole routines at the end, and then I could say done and go, because that would give me a better life or something. And I started to gradually pray to God just in general more and more throughout my life, and throughout 2024 as I struggled throughout this OCD. And I think I just did it at the start with little faith, just because for the OCD, if I believed in these intrusive thoughts that they could ruin my life, I believe that praying to a God that I didn't even believe in, that could make my life better or something. But yeah, I just started to feel God's presence more and more throughout my life and throughout 2024. So to actually illustrate to you guys how bad this OCD was and how much it was affecting my life, Let me tell you one of the times of when I tried to beat it with this whole routine. So there was this one time in April where I was struggling with this OCD throughout the whole week. I was exhausted, and on the Friday I was gonna be like, I'm finally gonna be done with this. I'm gonna do this whole routine, and I was looking for a place to do this routine, and I found this place with stained glass. This building with stained glass, and I was like, that looks God related or church related, so I'll do it in front of that. And so before I can even get close to that, because it was around the side of the block, I start to have an intrusive thought, and my first thought is just, I'll go back, clear it, and then continue. But on the way back to clear it, I have an intrusive thought, and now I think, oh no, I have to go back, clear that, and then clear the other one in the same order. But then on the way back there, I have an intrusive thought. So like now I'm in this whole loop of going back and forth in this specific order, and that just worsens and worsens, and I have like so much anxiety and stress right now. But yeah, at that point I'm just going back and forth, and I remember just it starting to bucket rain out of nowhere, and I just remember like feeling that God just wanted me out of there so badly. And I remember even thinking like the rain was symbolic of like God's sadness, because I was just like in so much anxiety and stress. I don't know, but eventually after like 30 minutes or something crazy, like I finally get everything in the right order in my head. So then I continue to make my way towards the stained glass mural, but not even like 5 steps later, I open up my phone to check the time or something, and then have an intrusive thought. And at this moment I'm like, oh man, I don't want to deal with this. Like I just have so much anxiety and stress right now. It's pouring rain, it's like pitch black outside. So then I try to like go back, clear the thought, but when I try to open up my phone again, I accidentally open up the credit card app instead. So now I think I'll have to go back, open up my phone, close it, and then open up the credit card app. But then I try to do that and have an intrusive thought. So now I think I have to go all the way back, open up my phone, close it, open up the credit card app, close it, and it just keeps getting deeper, and like I'm just digging myself a bigger and bigger hole, and this is just fostering up so much anxiety and stress. And yeah, this back and forth, and this whole it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and I just have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I just feel so stupid, because I feel like I'm putting this all on myself, and if I really wanted to, I could just walk away. But if I felt like if I did that, like I'd never be able to live with myself, and that these thoughts were just haunting me, and that yeah, I could just like never live with myself. I finally get everything right in the right order. It's like been so long, it's like pitch black, and I finally make my way to the stained glass, and then I start the whole routine there, thinking what I need to think, praying to God, starting it, stopping it, stopping it, in the bucketing rain, just like so much anxiety and stress, trying to get this done, going back and forth, until finally I get everything right in the perfect order, and I do it perfect. I say amen, done, and just like sprint home. I remember after I finished this whole routine, it was like perfect in my mind. I could finally have life in full. It was just like amazing. Yeah, I was so happy, and I did everything right. I felt like that one guy from Shawshank in the rain. It was amazing. Anyways, fast forward to the next day. I'm watching my Air Forces. I'm living my best life. I finally beat the OCD. I did it perfect, and I'm starting to have some intrusive thoughts, but this time I'm not giving into them, like, because in my mind's eye, I would have to do the entire routine again, better, bigger and better, if I do give into an intrusive thought. So I'm like, no, I did it perfect. I'm finally free. I'm just ignoring these thoughts until I accidentally obey one of these thoughts. And this completely breaks me. Like, this just makes me so sad. And like, in my mind, my life's over unless I do a whole routine again. And just the amount of stress and anxiety that other routine brought me, bro, I was just done with this. It just broke me completely. So if you can't tell by now, I could never beat this OCD by myself, and I would always inevitably fall right back into it, into obeying it. And the only thing that could have freed me was God, and he was knocking at my door, but I just kept ignoring God. So after me falling back into the intrusive thoughts, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I was stubborn, and instead of coming to God, I was like, I'm just going to respond in sinful ways, and I made myself like believe that God wasn't real, and that none of this stuff in my head was real. None of it, no supernatural stuff. But eventually I did come back to God and started to believe in these things again. But I didn't like submit. I didn't like ask God to help me. I didn't come to God to be freed. I didn't come to God to trust Him and be freed from this OCD. No, I still struggled with this OCD at this time and still wanted to beat it by myself. So fast forward to about June or July. There was this few particular days I was just struggling with this OCD so bad, just like entire day, so much anxiety and stress. And this one day I was just struggling with this OCD the entire day, so bad. And then I finally got everything right, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go meet up with my friends now. And on the way on the bus there, I kind of had some doubts, like, did I do that right? But then I kept telling myself, no, I did that right. But I kept having doubts, like, did I do that right? Like, maybe I left an intrusive thought, and now it's like floating somewhere and I haven't cleared it, so that's gonna ruin my time or my life. But anyways, during the meetup, I kept second guessing myself, like, did I do that right? But I also just felt kind of that things were off, and I was just kind of being ignored during the meetup. But I just kept trying to gaslight myself, like, no, I did everything right, it's just all in your head. So the next day I was like, oh crap, I must have left some stones unturned, I must have messed something up. I must have left some intrusive thoughts like floating around, and if I didn't clear those, if I didn't go back and clear those, I'd be cooked, my life would be over. So at the start of the day, I just had this whole day in front of me to go back and forth, and to go all the way to where my friends and I met up, and to even like backtrack there to clear the intrusive thoughts. And after like 2 days of already like using the entire day just going back and forth with so much stress and anxiety, like I remember at the start of the day, I was just in my bathroom leaning on the towel hanger, and not even with like a lot of force, it just like broke. And at that moment I just completely broke down. I was just like so done with this OCD. Like, there was just so much anxiety and stress, and I just wanted to be done so badly. So I was going back and forth in my house for like hours, just so stressed, so much anxiety, trying to clear these intrusive thoughts. And I remember like new problems would arise, like once I hopped on TikTok and saw like this bad luck video remover. So I was like, if I don't watch that enough times, I'm gonna have bad luck or something. But it wasn't until like 4 or 5 p.m. where I actually left my house, because I was struggling with that OCD so much, to go to the place where my friends and I met up. But on the way there, I just see my friend taking out the trash, and I like hid behind an electrical box because I didn't want him to see me or know what I was doing there. And I remember just like feeling so envious of his position, just to literally be taking out the trash. And I just wanted to trade positions, or like have his position so badly, just to be taking out the trash and not have all this anxiety and stress, and just to feel safe. But anyways, that night, just going back and forth, so much stress and anxiety. I come back at like 12, like midnight or something, and then I'm like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to do the routine. I've struggled for like 3 days. I'll finally be done, finally be free, right? This is obviously a delusion. But I literally get home and like go on a fence, because like that's the highest point or something. You know, I go back, down, up, and I just do the whole praying thing, start it and stop it and go down and up, until I finally get everything right, say amen, done, and I'm free, right? I remember I go to my bed that night and I start to second guess myself, like, oh, I could have done that better, or oh, did I do that right? So I remember, I think it was like 2 or 3 times that night, maybe I went back up and then went back to bed and then went back up, did the whole routine again, until finally I was satisfied with it. And fast forward to the day after that, I kind of woke up just like still second guessing myself, like, did I do that right? I just like felt like I messed it up. But I remember I kept telling myself, no, I did that perfect. And I went to the beach with my mom that day, and I remember just feeling like things were off, that I was just being ignored, that I just did it wrong. Like, there were still intrusive thoughts floating around. So I was like really bummed. But when I got home, I was like, okay, I'm going up that fence one more time. I'm doing this perfectly. So it was like midday this time, and I'm going up and down, up and down, and up and down, starting and stopping the prayer until I finally get everything perfect. You know, like my mom was telling me to get down, but I finally do everything perfect. Like, this is the one. I've struggled for too long. I say amen, done. Jump down the fence. I'm ecstatic this time. Like, I finally did it right. And like maybe like 5 minutes later, I'm washing my mom's car, and I start to second guess myself. Like, did I do that right? But no, I keep telling myself, like, no, I'm not going up there again. I'm done with this. Like, I did that right. But later that day, and as time passed on, I just kept second guessing myself. Like, did I do that right? And I just felt like, you know, I was being ignored. I felt irrelevant. I felt in the background. I felt unfulfilled. And it's pretty obvious why I was feeling so unfulfilled. It's because I kept pushing God away, you know, trying to beat all this OCD really rudely by myself. And the only thing that could have truly saved me was God. But I was trying to beat this by myself. And if you're thinking like this unfulfillment probably didn't feel that bad, no, it sucked, because it just felt like I had no purpose. I was just like in the background, and it felt like I just had a burning God-sized hole in my heart. And yeah, it was just really bad. And I tried to continue to go along with my daily life, just, you know, gaslight myself, like, no, I did everything right, I'm happy, no, this unfulfillment's just in my head. But I even tried to buy a Bible and pray to God, but I always just tried to gaslight myself, like everything was fine. But everything wasn't fine. I was just so unfulfilled, and anything I tried to do, like, nothing could fill that hole in my heart. So I continued to feel this unfulfillment in my life, just completely ignored, irrelevant, and like a shadow, until I was like, you know what, this sucks, I'm done with this. And in attempts to fill the hole in my heart, I made myself believe that God wasn't real, and did some sinful things to try and fill the void. In the end, this just made me feel way worse. Now I had a fiery, gaping hole in my heart, and I was lonely and I was lost. But a few days later, I think 2 or 3 days later, yeah, I was just completely just in ruins, I guess. And I think on YouTube I just saw a video, like one of those AI videos of Jesus again. So kind of as a last resort, like with the tiniest little bit of faith, I just pray to God for forgiveness and to be saved. And I don't really think anything of it at the time. But fast forward to the evening, I'm playing Lethal Company with my friends online. And when I hop off, I'm like, hey, I felt fulfilled during that. I wonder if my prayer actually worked and I can start being fulfilled from now on. And I went to sleep that night. And I remember the next morning, things were great. I was finally fulfilled. I wasn't ignored or irrelevant or a shadow. I finally had purpose. I was finally in life. The hole in my heart had been finally filled by God. And I remember the next day I had school, and things were just amazing. I was making jokes with the boys at the lunch table. Everyone was laughing. I had like a childlike happiness that was just unmatched. I remember there was this one gym teacher who was like super buff, and he was just talking about his experience with the Bible and as a Christian. And this other kid just brought in a Bible, and like, it wasn't a Christian school. And yeah, everything after that was just amazing. And you can probably tell by now that unfulfillment in my heart came from me just pushing God away and just trying to figure everything out and do everything my way. And God was knocking at the door. You know, only God could save me. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening to my testimony. I hope it can help you or inspire you in any way. And if you're wondering if I still struggled with that OCD afterwards, I never really went back and forth after, but I did kind of struggle with the superstitious thoughts, like if I didn't think this, you know, I wouldn't have life in full or something. But now I definitely know that there is nothing that God can't free me from, and that I have life in full. Just saying, if there is anyone who is struggling with OCD out there, there is nothing that Jesus can't free you from. I just also wanted to say that no matter what you're going through, whether it's like the most bottom of the barrel moment where you don't think you can get to like the next minute, it's not only going to be okay, but it's going to be the best. Because there is nothing that Jesus can't free you from. And Jesus loves you so much that I can't even fathom like a father to a son, and he wants to free you, prosper you, give you life in full, and give you so much happiness. And you can reach him by simply praying out to him.